There we go. Okay, first things first, we're going to put where the ground's going to be. So right at the bottom of our page, and it's important that we use the side of our pencil. Okay, so when I'm holding my pencil, it's like this, and I'm going to use the side so that I can get a fat line like this. See how that's a big fat line? That's what I want at the bottom. It's kind of a fat, fuzzy line. And I'm going to do this all the way across the bottom. And it's kind of a medium dark. I hesitate to tell you to go really dark. If there is stuff on your table, like that was 2 little eraser shavings right there, made a dark mark, wipe your table off a little bit, because anything underneath it will show up when you're doing this. What I don't want to do is have a bunch of hard lines like I'm doing this way, holding my pencil up like this. I want to have it from the side. I'm going all the way to each end. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. And it's important that it's dark enough that when we use a Kleenex to rub it here in a little while, that because when you use the Kleenex and you rub it, it goes lighter. So we got to make sure we have it at least a good medium dark on here. You don't want to go too light, or it's going to be not even visible hardly. And you don't want to go black on it either, because all that's going to do is make a big mess. So just color it in. I'm going to go back over it now. I've kind of got everything colored in, and now I'm just making it slightly darker so that when I rub it with the Kleenex, it won't be too light. So this is kind of pretty much a medium dark. Make sure you're trying not to have any white gaps in between. You don't want to have a big old gap on this, so if you're doing this, show you what to try to avoid. So on this one, if we're doing this, try to avoid having anything that looks like this. See all those gaps? We do not want that. We don't want it to look like scribble. Okay? It should all be filled in. So I'm just giving you a second to fill it in, and then we'll go to the next step. And this stuff's kind of fun because it's not high stress, it's not overly detailed. A lot of stuff we do, we have to be pretty precise. This, you just kind of have to have it even. It's probably the most stressful thing about it, or close to even anyway. All right, does anybody need more time to fill in the bottom? Okay, I don't see any hands up, so here's what I want you to do now. Is I'm going to just I've got my Kleenex folded in half, maybe do one more time just because I don't want to rub a hole through it. And then I'm just going to wrap it around my finger like that, so I've got my finger wrapped up like this with it. And then when I rub this, I'm not going to go like this, I'm going to go in a circular motion, okay? So I'm going to start right here, going circular, 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 and I'm going intentionally past the top edge. Popped off my finger, so I'll put it back on. Circular, circular, circular. I'm pressing down pretty hard. As you can see, little pieces of the Kleenex are coming apart. And that's fine. You can always get another paper towel or another Kleenex. Be a little careful on your edges that you don't bunch it up and wrinkle your paper. Now on the very edges, you might have to go up and down just a little bit just to make sure it gets to the edge right here and here. Same thing along the bottom. But for the most part, we just want to kind of go round and round and round and round and round. Okay. That takes care of where our ground is going to go. So if you have 1 or 2 inches of ground on there, that's fantastic. If you got a little skinny thing, that's not going to work very well. And if it's a little wider than this, that will also work. And then we're going to create the clouds by thinking backwards. We're actually going to create the sky in between the clouds, and the white part of our paper will be the clouds, and the dark part will be the sky. Raise your hand if you need more time smoothing this bottom out, because I'll give it to you. But all right, I'll give it to you. I'll just wait a second. In fact, while I'm waiting, I'm going to just make sure I've got that rubbed just enough. Okay. Everything should look soft and fuzzy at this point. All right, now let's create some clouds by creating a sky. I'm going to start right in the middle of my paper. I'm still going to use the side of my pencil. Going right in the middle of the top. I'm going back and forth. And then I'm going to go down. And as I go down, I'm going to let it get a little more narrow. I'm going to go fairly dark on this too, because it will get lighter. As you can see, it goes from wide to kind of skinny. Okay. Here's where I might lose a few, hopefully I don't. Okay, it's gone skinny, now I'm going to go just a little bit longer again. Again, this is a medium dark. I would rather you go a little too dark than a little too light, because it will lighten up some when we rub over stuff. And right below this, I'm going to make this just a little fatter right here. Right in the middle there, like that. And if you kind of follow along with me on this, we're going to be okay. First time through, follow along. When you create your own clouds later, you can do them kind of how you want. But the first time through, just kind of follow along. Okay, coming over here to the left side of my page, I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to kind of work my way down near the bottom over here, like that. It kind of works its way down. Looks like a little tornado coming up off of here. I'm kind of bringing it over to where this one came to kind of a point. And at the very top, I'm going to bring this over just a little more, but not quite. Just a little bit more. A little wider top of my tornado looking thing. Going from here to here. And from here, I'm going to work this over back down to here. So I'm going to use the side of my pencil. I'm going to work my way back over to the edge of my paper. Just like that. So it kind of forms a point coming there. Now I'm going to take a little bit right here and bring a little bit of a point coming over this way in that white area. Just like that. Almost looks like a bird flying, kind of. So if I cover that part up, see like a bottom wing, its tail, its little beak, and then the other wing going up, but then it turns into something weird up there. I'm going to come over to this side, and I'm not going to do it the same as the other side. I'm going to start right here and kind of work my way down to the left edge. Widen this out a little bit at the top. So I don't necessarily want both sides looking exactly the same. I want to change it up a little bit. So this looks like a tornado coming up this way, small at the base, wider at the top. I'm just going to bring a little part that kind of comes out right there, just a little bit. And then I might bring this all over just a little bit more. Kind of looks like a shark right there with his mouth open. There's his nose, mouth, bottom. Maybe I'll put one more little point coming in there like that. It's looking too much like the other side, so I'm going to break it up a little bit. And I'm going to come off the left side here, this wider part. I'm just going to extend it out, kind of going towards this one over here. This will all make sense in a little while. Right now it doesn't probably make a whole lot of sense at all to you. Yep, just go a little bit wider. You get kind of skinny with stuff, widen stuff out. Like here to here. All right, now I'm going to come down here below all of this, and I got kind of a big gap right here, so I'm going to start a cloud, or actually the background right here. I'm just going side to side again. Bring that edge over. Look a little bit like a spaceship right there. You got narrow, narrow, and then like a little round spot in the middle. Now once you get the hang of this and what we're doing, you can do this stuff really fast. I'm going slow because it's the first time through on this, but eventually you'll kind of understand what we're doing and it will be much easier to do. So I'm going to come over here to the right side, kind of let it touch that little point right there. I'm going to go down with it a little bit, and I'm going to bring it over. This is going to get more narrow as I move in towards the center. Bring that just a little bit more. I'll just bring this over more. And I might bring a little bit that just kind of shoots up right there, but I'm still keeping my lines pretty much horizontal the whole time. I don't want to go this way with my lines, and I don't want to go diagonal with my shading and coloring. I want to keep it all kind of going side to side. Come back over here to the left, and I'm going to go right to the edge again. I'm going to bring it down a little ways. I'm going down a couple inches here. Darken it as I go. I'll start bringing this out towards the center. Go wide to skinny again. Hey, Regan, can you shut that door for me, please? I'm starting out wide and then going skinny. And about halfway up this, I'm going to do another one that comes out there, similar to that, and just let it stop. It's going to be not as long as this one. Comes out and stops. And I'm going to go off the top here and bring another one out. I'm going to let this one kind of go under my little spaceship right here, maybe a little ways past it. A little ways past the center, when I say the little ways past. I'm going to make this one a little wider right here. to come over to this side and I'm going to work from the middle. And if yours doesn't look exactly like mine, as long as it's similar, we're good on this. So don't stress too much that they're not exactly the same. So a little point coming off of this, point coming off of there. And this one I'm going to just bring down, and I'll bring it over to the edge. I'm going to widen it out when I get over here to the edge. And maybe bring just a little short one right there that kind of almost connects right there. In fact, it can connect if you want it to. So you're like, I don't know whether I want it to or not. I don't know what you're doing, but you will in a minute. Then I'll bring this part over on the bottom. Now I'm intentionally kind of not putting too much right in the middle because we're going to stick a ghost in the middle. But it's okay if some of the ghosts overlap some of our stuff that we're scribbling on here right now. But we save the ghost for last. Now I'm going to come down back here to the bottom. And I'm going to bring, some comes up like that. I'm actually going to take an edge all the way across. Dang it, every time there's something on the table. All the way across, and then I'll start building it up on this right side a little bit. And then I'm just going to kind of go up and down. So I'm going up, and then I'm going to come back down. I'm going to go back up. I'm going to fill that all in. Kind of like hills for right now. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Maybe I'll even go up a little higher on this side so it still looks like up, down. So up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So we're doing across there. Kind of looks like little footy hills. All right, now let's bring some more clouds coming over. I'm gonna make a thin one right here. It's gonna be narrow as it gets to the edge of the paper. I'm gonna bring that all the way down and let it connect up with that I just put over here. And bring a little point coming across there. I'm gonna bring this out a little closer to center. So that one got a little weird on us. But if you look at it, kind of goes this way, that way, and then back. So like a letter Z kind of. I'm going to darken it in a little bit because it's a little too light. What I'm trying to avoid is having too many perfectly straight edges, though. I don't want to look like any of this was drawn with a ruler. I want it to be horizontal, but I want it to be kind of uneven up and down so it doesn't look like I took a ruler and drew a line and then shaded right to it. This needs to look a little more organic, if you understand that term, but what we want it to do is be more round and puffy. All right, does anybody need more time with that part? All right, let's go over here and get this last part right here. I'm going to start out here. Bring it near these two right here. And I think I'll bring this down here and let it connect up. Leave a little white spot right there. And then I'm going to bring this over to the edge of the page, getting higher. Come over here on this right edge. And I think I'll bring a little high spot up in the middle. Let that blend down to that point. Now I'm just going to darken it a little bit. It's a little bit light. Once we have this on here, now the fun part that at least I think is fun, because there's not really a way to mess this up unless when you go to take your Kleenex to soften all this stuff, here's the one way you would mess it up. If you come in here and you just rub this way and that way, left and right, like we did our drawing, that will make it look weird. It's not going to work. We're going to go in a circular motion just like we did down here, but we're okay with blurring past the edges. So what I mean, I'll start at the top. See, I have a nice little point right here. I'm okay. We're just smearing it out like that. And now it just kind of smeared it all out, and it's a little wider than it used to be. Just keep it all going in a circular motion. I'm going to go all the way across. I've got some. If it goes all the way to the edge of the page, that's fine. So I'm just going around, just like that. By the way, if you've got a lot of oil or grease on your fingers, which is natural because skin produces that, you will see every fingerprint, just like I got two right there. That's okay. We're learning. And it's okay to have a few fingerprints. It's not going to be the end of the world. Okay, now that's starting to really soften up. It looks quite a bit different than this stuff around here. Now with that said, we're going to just kind of work through our whole drawing up here and just keep doing this over and over and over again till we have everything looking soft and fuzzy. And I am pressing pretty hard when I do this. I'm not just lightly being all dainty with this. I'm pushing down because I want it to smear it out really good. And it's tearing up my Kleenex. As you can see, that Kleenex is all tore up right now. So you're probably going to have to move once in a while or your finger's going to poke right through it. And now if you're not wearing out the Kleenex, you're not pressing hard enough. And I hold it down with my other hand because I don't want to actually have the paper all bunch up and fold on me. Going just around. Okay, so when I finish up making everything soft, I have kind of a light spot right here. That was kind of my goal, but I also have light spots in between all over the place. Okay. That's the key to making this work. Here's what happens if you go like this. I'm going to show you an example of what not to do when you do these on your own. Give you two little quick demonstrations here of what not to do. Okay, there's one demonstration there, and it'll make sense to you in a second. Okay, up here, I want everybody to kind of pay attention to this. On this, we had a lot of space between the dark areas that we put on, so now we got lights and darks, big open spot. Here's what happens if you don't leave much room in between. You come on here and start to do this business. And pretty soon, your whole paper looks dark gray. Okay, there's no contrast from light to dark, just kind of filled up the whole dang paper. So you may as well have just colored the whole thing in, because you don't really have any light and dark spots, because you had everything so close together. That's why it's so important to leave some space. Here's the other thing, and this one, I don't know why this happens, but it does happen a lot. I'm going to come in here, and you're like, okay, I got to be really careful, go in a circular motion. I'll do this one. You're leaving some white in between. You remember, you're trying to do clouds and sky. And you get this. Does that look like clouds? No, it looks like turds floating in the toilet kind of thing. It's a terrible look, okay? We don't want to have a crappy drawing like that. We want it to actually look like we're creating a sky effect. And this is what happens if you make them too short, too fat, and you don't have any variance on the up and down. They're just all kind of the same shape, just some are a little longer than the others. In the sky, when you look at clouds, or any two clouds, do they look exactly alike? They don't. They vary. They're all different. So when you draw and you're creating this stuff in the background, try to avoid making everything look exactly alike as you're working across your page. That's not what a cloud would look like. Okay, now we have something that looks a little bit cloudy-like, and that's kind of awesome. We're going to move to the bottom of the page now, and I'll zoom in. So now I'm going to come down here to the bottom where I want my grass. Now, it doesn't matter whether you have an eraser like this or if you have an eraser like that. What we're going to do is try to create some grass down here. And hang on before you do anything. So I'm going to go press down, then I lift up. Press down, I lift up. Press down, I lift up. When I do that, it creates kind of this grass kind of look. Here's what we want to try to avoid on that. Maybe I better save this one. Let's say we're doing grass right here. Here's what to avoid. First, you saw me going like this, making these, and I'm going to make these pretty big so you can see them. That looks kind of like grass. This is not grass, guys. That's a lattice fence. Okay? You want to make sure you're not crisscrossing, crisscross all the way across. You want it to look like it bends and flows, you know, like if it's blowing in the wind or growing. It's okay to have them cross a little bit, but if you sit there and you just are like, okay, I got those going to the left, I'm going to make these go to the right, that absolutely will not look right on your paper, okay? So you want to let it to kind of flow and ebb a little bit, where you got to be a little bit artistic. So let's just go ahead. We're going to create some grass. Yours doesn't have to be exactly like mine. We're just kind of letting it flow. Make it curve a little bit on the ends. Don't make everything too straight. Like I say, if it crosses a little bit here and there, that's okay. But if you start to notice you're making a lot of X's, then that's not a good thing. We're going to do a little more with this. This is just the start. And you can come above where you were before, instead of all of it coming right off the bottom, and you can bring some right up here too. It's okay just to mix it up. We're trying to create a grass effect. My eraser keeps popping off my pencil though. This should take a second because there's a lot of grass we got to draw on there. Yep. Prop that door open so you can get back in. Now we're not going into super fine detail on this. If I were doing this as a really realistic drawing, I would actually have a reference in front of me so I know, kind of the texture I'm trying to recreate. But right now we're just trying to learn an effect to make grass. I'm working my way across. And this should take you a little while to do. I'm just going to pull that eraser off because it just does not want to stay on my pencil. Yes. No, that one will work just fine. See, if I take that eraser, and I just take the very edge of it, it works just fine, just like mine. Just don't press very hard. Okay, the width of your grass blades will be affected by how hard you push down. So if I push down really hard right here, I'm going to get a really fat one like that on this side. If I'm just barely letting the eraser touch it, they'll be a lot thinner. Like I say, we're not going to go into a ton of detail on this. We're just trying to create a texture at this point. So that's step 2. Step 1 was putting the dark value on there and smearing it. Step 2 was drawing with the eraser. And then we're going to have a step 3 here in just a second. All right, now we'll jump into step 3, and you can add to or take away as we go. If you're not ready for step 3, just kind of pause what you're doing and watch what I do, and then you can come back to it in a little bit. So now I'm going to come in with my pencil, the drawing end of my pencil, and I'm going to put some darker lines in, and I usually try to go between the blades of grass that I've already drawn. So I'm going to come in here in between them, and some of these are going to cross the other way and they can go in front. Some of them can go in front and some can go behind. So like if I'm really careful and I go like this and I lift it up, that means it went behind those little white ones. I don't know if that translates really well, but you can kind of see it now. See how I stopped when I got to the light part? So you're trying to create depth. Some are in front, some are behind. Come right here, go behind that one, then maybe in front. Okay, and I'm just going to put a few of these. The trick to this is not to put 10,000 lines on here. Just have a few here and there. Vary them a little bit, so some go in front, some come behind. I'm going to have some of mine sticking up into the sky behind it a little bit. Again, don't make these too straight. They should kind of bend and flow and not look like you took a ruler and drew them on here. Okay. Okay, so there's going to look a little like really long grass or almost like cattails right now. But I'm kind of making things larger than normal so that it's easier for you to see it up there on the screen. And then you can take some of this, and this is where it gets a little bit trickier. You can come in here and go, oh, I'm going to put a little leaf off this. So you can just put a few little leaves. What you're doing is you're starting with your pencil pressed down, and then you lift it up right at the end so it forms a point on the end of that little leaf or little twig. I'll just do that on a few of these. I'm not going to do them all. But some of these, especially that are sticking up a little higher, yeah, I'll probably put a few on there. And it doesn't need to be on every little dark line that you did, just on some of them, just enough to kind of create a breakup. Not have everything look exactly generically the same. Make sure you keep your lines little short strokes, not really long strokes. Now, if you have a really good eraser and it's got a good little edge on it, you can come in and actually put little leaves on the white ones too. But I'm not going to recommend doing a lot of that right now because I know a lot of you have your erasers worn down a little bit. So I'm not going to do too much of that. Because if your eraser is really rounded off and you don't have a sharp edge, it's really hard to get this effect right here with your eraser, because it's just going to make a big fat thing on there, which you're not going to really want. Now, as far as that foreground goes, creating that grassy type look, I mean, I could come up and I could put, you know, those little things are on the end of cattails that, you know, if you break them apart, it's all fluffy and blows away. That would be easy to draw on here. Just for the sake of illustration, maybe I'll put one just right over here. This comes up, and I would just go like that and put a little oval on that, and a little point coming off. And now I have a cattail. That's all there is to it. But I'm not going to mess with that too much. I mean, if I was doing a scene with ducks flying by and stuff, I'd probably put a whole bunch of those on there. For now, what I want to do is determine what kind of ghost I want and what shape I want. And like I told you the other day, the first thing we do is that elongated teardrop. So the one that I'm going to do on this one, I'm going to come in here and put a nice S-curve on mine. You can do yours any way you want. I'm just putting a nice S-curve on this one. And I would suggest maybe you do whatever it was that you were practicing the other day. So I've got my body on there for now. And I'm also going to put the front of my face on this side. You got kind of a wide head, but that's all right. I don't care. I'm just getting basically it established on my paper so I know what I want. So now I'm going to come do the shoulder and then the wing come off of it. So I'm going to come down here and bring it up over here, curve it out. That's the arm or wing. I'm going to come over here and do another one that goes way out over this way. Okay, because I want this to be kind of a big ghost on here, flying through the air. Yours can go any which direction you want. I mean, if you were drawing those the other day and one worked easier for you than another, use that. I'm going to fold that over right there, bring that down for my wrinkle, bring another wrinkle right here, and probably bring another wrinkle coming down right there. a little heavier set ghost than the ones I did before, but that's fine. So I'm going to let you work out what position you want your ghost to be on this thing. Once you've got both arms, the body, the little head part on there, then go ahead and go back down and kind of maybe do a little more work down here. If any of these aren't smeared out in the clouds, do that now. If you want to put a little more detail work down here on your grass so it looks more grassy, go ahead. I'm going to stop the video and we're going to do that for about